So for my nonprofit interview, I ended up contacting a man named Daryl Thompson, who is the current CEO of a nonprofit called Boulder Options. Daryl Thompson has been the owner there for 22 years now, and when I contacted him, I found out that he was a former NFL player, a first-round pick for the Green Bay Packers, and he has the all-time leading rush yards for the Minnesota Gophers. And I'm a huge NFL fan and football fan in general, so I was pretty excited and nervous when I found this out because it was like interviewing someone who actually has been famous, and I don't have that much experience with that, so I was a little nervous. But anyways, basically Boulder Options is a company that mentors youth ages 7 to 17, like I said, and they do it through St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Rochester. Recently Rochester, which is my hometown, and they're still expanding. So they've been there for 22 years now, and right when I came into this interview, I knew I wanted to ask questions that were very hands-on questions that I could actually learn and use this knowledge to put in my nonprofit assignment that we still have in our groups, and just to get the knowledge and be able to put it to that. So anyways, a weird story. Right as I walked into the building, I ended up walking into one of the other co-owners named Rob Lyons, who actually recently retired. But I talked to him about 10 minutes, and he was giving me a lot of advice saying how nonprofits are a lot about passion, putting all the passion you have and surrounding yourself with the right people, which is pretty ironic because I've been learning this a lot too in class with Mr. Tibbetts, how he talks about strength finders and how you have to put the right people around you, which I thought was really cool, and I definitely took that advice to heart. So now I'm going to go through my questions that I asked Daryl Thompson. He ended up taking me out for lunch, and which was definitely a surprise too. So the first question was, how has your experience in the NFL affected your life and developing into nonprofits? Like, how did you go from one being an athlete to a nonprofit CEO? And right as I talked to him, he started saying how he has the same mentality he does when playing in games as he does running his business. He is very passionate, and he says that you have to be passionate, but you also have to use logic, and you can't let your emotions get the best of you. You have to look at everything objectively in the decision making and realize that since you are a nonprofit, you have to hire the right people who are not going to abuse the money that's generated in. So I thought that was very interesting because you do have your people in your group define, and the people in your business define how your success is going to be generated in the future. So the next question was, do you partner with other nonprofits? And right as I said that, he told me yes, we partner with the YMCA, Kids Club, and many other local organizations that do similar youth mentoring programs. So just because this happens, you have to realize that they all work together because money just doesn't come to you. You have to generate it through fundraisers. And he even told me that 80% of his actual work is fundraisers and generating money to be able to get the money to provide food for the kids, the mentoring. And a lot of the mentoring is actually one-on-one. They tell you they ask you how your week went, if any struggles happen. And it's really just helping a lot of the problems they have with anger management, sexuality, and things that they don't necessarily learn in school, but they can actually learn through this. So I thought that was really interesting too. And then I asked them exactly, what's your advice for someone who wants to start up a nonprofit? What's the main key ingredient? And he said that you need the right people around you, but he also said you need to have the right plan that you know will work, and that you can't give up. And even if it doesn't work, you have to find a perfect plan to be able to sort it out. So I thought that was really interesting, because if you give up after one plan and it doesn't work, then I mean, that's part of owning a business. You have to fail and you have to succeed and get through adversity. But overall, some of the main things I learned from the interview was not just asking these questions, it was just hearing him describe his experience. And One thing I was really surprised about was he was being real with me, how he had a lot of negative experiences, how he has kind of been worn out from all the fundraisers you have to do and the long process. He was telling me about how he's went weeks without having even money generate to him to be able to provide for his family. Although he has a lot of money from being in the NFL, for most people who don't have that, it weighs on you. So it made me realize how tough starting a nonprofit and keeping it successful is. And he also talked about how when he was in the NFL, he started doing fundraisers through that, and that really got him to realize the impact he can make with our generation's youth. So in general, what I've learned from this was you have to be very open and understand that nonprofit succeeding won't just happen right away. It can take many years to expand and get to the point where you actually can support a whole staff. And I think it's a lesson I definitely took to heart, because if I ever do this, I'm going to have to be very passionate and very analytical in everything I learn and apply it to my studies. So, yep.